You're listening to One Sweet Wrestling Podcast.
One Sweet Wrestling Podcast.
With your host, Beto Barragan.
And we all know that when the good Lord created man, he meant for him to look just like me.
And Alex Lewicki.
The tower of power, too sweet to be sour. I'm funky like a monkey. Sky's the limit and space is the place.
The podcast made by fans for wrestling fans.
One sweet! One sweet! One sweet! One sweet!
You're listening to One Sweet Wrestling Podcast. All right, we're back with lucky episode number 7 here on One Sweet Wrestling Podcast. It is I, your host, Beto Barragan, and with me as always, the one, the only,
Alex Lewicki.
So, let's just do it now and jump right into the headlines.
All right, folks. It looks like the Elite are now drug-free.
Yes.
On the latest Being the Elite podcast, the latest Being the Elite show,
Right.
they're running the spot between the Elite stating, hey, everybody, why don't we make a new catchphrase? Being the Elite is drug-free.
And that's the way to be.
Now, being the smarks, as people call us, I think this indicates the fact that when Phil Brooks, a.k.a. CM Punk, is going to be on his way to a Being the Elite, maybe that 10,000-seater arena venue that they're going to have later this year. Speculations are running wild where this is going to be. They've already announced a date as of today, September 1st. Now, they haven't released where they're going to be holding this, but they did promise that the location will be revealed on a later episode of Being the Elite. So, with that being said, a number of places can be a location for this new venue.
Right.
The most obvious, because if they can tie in the drug-free and
CM Punk,
the obvious choice is Chicago.
Of course.
If they can get that, I think they can easily sell out over a 10,000-seater. It's going to be standing room only.
I mean, it's almost apparent that they're going to do this, and it's almost obvious that they're going to do this. I can see a lot of feeding the rumor mill little by little, but eventually it's going to come out like, hey, this is where we're going to host it and whatnot. I mean, it's almost as blatant as the slow build between Cody and Kenny Omega. So we can talk a little bit more about that later on in the show. But from what all everything is pointing to is it to me, which is my prediction, I'm looking at the Elite versus the Bullet Club. Again, we'll talk about that later, but you're definitely looking at that 10,000-seat venue. I mean, they're going to have to pull out all the stops, get the entire Bullet Club there. Hell, maybe even Tama Tonga shows up.
Yeah, I mean, he's a free agent as far as he'll still be able to book his own independent dates.
Right.
Him, Tongaloa, and the younger brother, I can't remember his name for the life of me, but he's like the 6'7" guy that was in the Battle Royal during Wrestle Kingdom. But it's going to be, for all purposes, fantastic. If they can book the way that they're promising, this is going to be an awesome event. And I think if they can get CM Punk, this is definitely going to get WWE's attention.
Yeah, if they haven't done so by now, which they obviously have, I mean, this is definitely going to be the big attention grabber. Like, hey, we got to step up our game, and we can't just kind of dance around the fact that we have half of the Bullet Club in the WWE.
Oh, you mean the Balor Club?
I mean the Balor Club, which they finally already kind of just named them.
They
the Balor
rushed
Club.
it so fast.
They really did. I was predicting like that when Finn Balor went over to WWE, or Fergal Devitt, for those of you that are really big Finn Balor fans, I predicted that this was going to happen, that the club was going to be the Balor Club at some point in time, but as of now, it just seems very rushed. It seems like they're looking to push this Balor Club thing as far as it can go. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Balor Club shirt coming out pretty soon that's very similar to the Bullet Club shirt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's going to show up. I want to say probably by the Royal Rumble.
Oh, it has to.
Yeah. The only thing I wonder, what are they going to do with AJ Styles? Do they make...
You got to keep him away from him, I think.
I think what's going to happen is they're going to have an interaction at the Royal Rumble between all four of them that is going to, kind of start the rumor mill that, AJ is going to jump over to Raw and then become the next member of the Balor Club.
Right.
That'd be great, but then you're basically just doing what New Japan did a couple years ago. So, it'd be cool for us.
Yeah.
But, really in the long run, I would rather see AJ by himself as the champion, doing his thing on SmackDown. He's had some great matches as of lately.
At this point, AJ doesn't need it. If you look at, and I'm going to run a parallel here. If you look at AJ Styles on SmackDown, you look at Finn Balor on Raw. Between the two, the way they're booked, who needs it?
You're right.
Yeah,
AJ Styles pretty much stands alone.
He doesn't need a group anymore. I think it was a good introduction to bring in AJ Styles with Anderson and Gallows. Very smart way to do it. However, now at this point, you don't need AJ Styles in any group right now. It's just one of those things. He just doesn't need it anymore.
No, I agree. He is basically he's for me the best wrestler on the roster right now.
Mm-hmm.
Even at his age, he is putting out quality matches every time he goes out there.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to whatever they have booked for AJ, the Balor Club, as it were. But So next up, the Raw 25th anniversary is coming up.
This is going to be really cool. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. They've already had some people named that are actually going to be there.
Okay.
One, Ric Flair.
Woo!
The Undertaker.
Yes.
Hall and Nash are both going to be there.
I'm just trying to come up with little impressions here and there for
I'm
each
not going to
one.
get flapped, dude.
I can't, dude. Yeah. But Hall and Nash, the Outsiders.
The Outsiders, the Dudley Boys.
Okay.
The APA.
Okay.
The Bella Twins randomly.
No, not randomly. I don't think it's random. I think they have to be in the Rumble.
Cena's going to... you know what? Yeah. Oh, God.
Of course.
Let me run down some more because that
go
just
for it.
hurt.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to kill
my
that for you.
JR and Jerry the King Lawler.
Awesome.
Which I am really looking... I wonder how they got JR, even though he's booked with New Japan.
It's freelance, man. He
Yeah,
can do
that's
whatever
true.
he wants. It's JR.
And of course, because Triple H has to put himself over, DX and the New Age Outlaws are going to be there.
Shawn Michaels going to be there?
I want to say, he's part of DX.
Has to.
I wonder now, does Sean Waltman show up?
Yeah.
He gets some X-Pac
Why
heat.
wouldn't he?
Well, I don't know what the relationship is. Well, I guess with Triple
I haven't
H.
heard anything bad.
Yeah, he was
late.
at that Hall of Fame ceremony, so maybe that'll work out. I really hope they choose this time to highlight a lot of the Raw over the years. This has been going on since we've been kids. So to look back.
Since 1993. That's when it started.
1993.
Yeah.
On USA. That's pretty awesome that they've consistently been on the same network for over 25 years. That's something.
Well, they did go over to, what was it, TNN for a while? Remember TNN?
Oh, you know what? You're right. They did before it became Spike.
Yeah, it was very brief though. It wasn't that long.
It was a couple years. I want to say it was like 1 or 2 years, but it was still during the Attitude Era.
But if you talk Monday Night Raw, you're talking USA Network.
Yeah.
At least that's when I remember first watching it.
You know who I am very surprised? As far as our recording today, I haven't heard any news or rumblings about this person showing up.
Right.
No Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by it, but at the same time, I would like to see Hulk Hogan there.
I think they have to kind of test the waters with the audience. Maybe they'll put a graphic up, later down the road just to see how he's received. Because, when he left, whatever happened about that lawsuit, and then basically that tape coming out. There's a lot of things that are
it's
still
hard though, man. I mean, he's pretty much accomplished everything he's needed to in the WWE. I mean, he's already in the Hall of Fame. I mean, how do you get that? I mean, how are they going to fit that response in the crowd? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, how are you going to get people to go, hey, it's Hulk Hogan? There's got to be some sort of promo or something that they've got to do with him.
He could always come out with the Outsiders.
I mean, why not? That to me makes more sense to have the NWO there, and then you have the Balor Club come in. All right,
and give him the too sweet and give him the blessing.
I mean, it's almost kind of, it's such a Vince-ism, if you will. Like, he now owns that property, so it's kind of like, well, you know,
I can do with it what I want.
I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, I'll give it to the Balor Club.
Exactly.
Guess why? Because I want to. And I'm going to make a shirt that says too sweet on it. I guarantee it. Come WrestleMania. Hey, completely off topic.
Sure.
I've heard it through the rumor mill. Guess who's going to Impact Wrestling?
Impact Wrestling's still around?
It is. It's hanging on by a thread, but I've heard rumors that Rey Mysterio is going to Impact Wrestling.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Lucha Underground. I don't know if they're continuing their filming, but I've heard that Rey Mysterio might be making an appearance really soon at Impact.
We're going to have to really, I guess we're going to have to start watching Impact and see.
I'll leave that to you. That is, well, the thing is, they've got good wrestlers. I think it's just.
Let me tell you something, man. Let me shoot here for a second. I saw a highlight of Impact Wrestling. Because, you know, I generally, like, if I can't watch a show, I'll definitely check out the highlights and whatnot. I saw like a highlight of some pay-per-views from Impact Wrestling.
Okay.
The wrestling is not great, but it's not bad. To me, it just looks like a televised indie show, but
I can see that, yeah.
If you're looking at it from a scale perspective, this is the way I look at it. Ring of Honor, something else, then Impact Wrestling.
Are you putting Ring of Honor above Impact?
Above Impact.
Okay. I would say it's, for me,
it just doesn't, there's just something about it that just doesn't, it doesn't work. I don't know. I mean, maybe
it's the crowd. You're at the same place. You see the same people. You're like, well, this is obviously a taping. It's different with Ring of Honor because
they go places. They travel, right?
Exactly. They're in a different arena, but they're taping 4 or 5 shows, but it progresses.
Right.
It's kind of like WCW Saturday Night. It was, I think it's filmed at the exact same place.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when you see the same people, it kind of takes you out of your element because you're like, well, I already know what the crowd response is going to be, and I'm relying solely on what's in ring. And if the in ring isn't giving me anything, the storylines aren't going anywhere, then I'm going to tune out. And that's kind of where I think they've got the wrestlers. They've got Matt Sydal. I think they're going to be losing Bobby Lashley really soon. So,
I mean, they're talking. I actually heard or read the other day, and I totally forgot where exactly the source was from. And you guys can actually check that out, look into it, and see where exactly it came from. But they're talking EC3, Bobby Lashley might jump back to WWE.
Well, think how big the draw would be to see Bobby Lashley against Brock Lesnar.
Oh, man.
You know, 2 shoot fighters, for lack of a better term. They could do another Lions Den match.
I mean, yeah.
That fiasco. But, so that's kind of late-breaking news that I saw today. We'll see if there's any fire where that smoke comes from.
I think Vince should just buy Impact Wrestling and call it a day, or at least buy the library. They basically have all the Impact wrestlers there.
Or the Impact wrestlers were from WWE.
Either or. You know, I mean, I think just Vince needs to just buy it, kill it, and give the young talent that's there at Impact Wrestling, give them a shot.
I think that's right.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of good talent that's out there right now. Just give them their shot. You know? What's gonna hurt Vince?
Yeah, what's the harm in it?
What's the harm? Yes.
At this point, what they could do with Impact, because it's such close proximity to the Performance Center, just have that be an offshoot of NXT. If you want that to be like an hour show, like Shotgun Saturday Night, throw your lower performers up there and go, okay, we'll give you some TV time. You can work on your promos. If you connect with somebody at like midnight, awesome. and then we'll throw you up on the NXT card. It's a natural progression. You start off at the Bush Leagues, you work your way up to the minors, and then you get up to the majors. That's
it's like farm leaguing, man.
Exactly.
It's the farm leaguing system of baseball, or even the NBA. You know,
D-League, yeah.
Yeah, you got to have a D-League to get there. And right now, NXT is becoming its own entity.
I agree. I think at this point, NXT has become their third major brand because you have guys in there that are world champion caliber.
Yeah.
And at some point, you're just going to have to realize that Impact, I'm sorry, you guys had a great run.
Yeah.
But ultimately,
they deserve that. They had a great run.
Look at your champions. You've got AJ Styles. You've had a multitude of people, but I think 2018 might be the last year we hear Impact Wrestling under that moniker.
Right.
Or under that ownership. But that's it for headlines today.
Yeah.
Next up, we're going to be talking about Wrestle Kingdom.
Yes.
So stay tuned after the break.
If you're looking for a unique, clean, and comfortable shop to get your next tattoo, check out the artists at Galaveras Tattoos. They're located downtown San Antonio at 628 South St. Mary's, just north of Cesar Chavez. Galaveras is home to some of the best, most experienced tattoo artists in San Antonio, and the only shop in town with 4 female artists on staff. Established in 2005, Galaveras Tattoos offers a variety of styles and the highest quality tattoos with a price that won't hurt your budget. So stop by for a consultation or give them a call to schedule one. It's easy. 210-227-7673. That's 210-227-7673. Calaveras Tattoos, San Antonio's favorite tattoo shop.
Hey guys, Anthony Cortez Haynes here, that wrestling video guy, and you're listening to One Sweet Wrestling Podcast.
Thank you, Anthony Cortez Haynes. Great guy. If you want to learn more about Anthony Cortez Haynes, you can check him out on anthonycortezhaynes.com, or just go ahead and look into our archives on YouTube, and you can listen to an earlier episode where we had him on the show. So, Alex, I was not able to stay up that late to watch it, but I heard lots of great things, and I actually got to see one of the matches the morning after. So fill me in on Wrestle Kingdom 12, brother.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I stayed off of social media for 2 days. That way I couldn't find out the results of this card. It was impossible for me to do, but damn it, I did it. So we're going to start talking about this Wrestle Kingdom 12 that happened about a week ago in Tokyo. The attendance was about 43,000 people.
It's amazing.
43,000 people for a card that was pretty strong. It was definitely pushed by that Omega and Jericho match.
Oh, for sure.
100%.
For sure.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
They had their inaugural Wrestle Kingdom Battle Royal. Honestly, y'all, not too much to talk about in the way of anything major storyline wise. There's a lot of fun stuff. Cheeseburger made an appearance.
Yeah, Cheeseburger was there. That was cool.
Yeah, Taka Michinoku popped up. It was pretty cool. From what I remember,
That's
whole
pretty
lot
rad,
of nothing happened. Truthfully, I can't remember who won.
Taka Michinoku.
Taka Michinoku was on there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I can't remember who won. To be honest with you,
Really?
I wrote it down and I can't remember who won.
We'll just have to go back and we'll check it out.
It was a 45-minute match, man.
Wow.
Yeah, it took a while, and it was kind of no payoff. Anyway, moving on to the actual main card of Wrestle Kingdom. The first match that started us off was the Young Bucks against Roppongi 3K. Now, if you remember from last week, Roppongi 3K were Sho and Yo, who were temporarily the Tempura Boys back in Ring of Honor.
Okay.
They were, and highlight were, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. The storyline going into this was the Young Bucks were going after their 7th IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. I will tell you, this match was fantastic. The Young Bucks don't really get a whole lot of shine in Japan as opposed to they do in Ring of Honor, where they're kind of like the linchpin that can hold that company together.
Right.
You know, they have Okada now in New Japan where he's the man. He's their dude. But the Young Bucks, the ring psychology, the story they told was Sho and Yo in this with the lower back spots. It was so good. They got me for a little bit. I really thought Matt was hurt when he first did his move that ended up hurting him. But there was a double German suplex on the Young Bucks, but I believe it was done by Sho. He is so strong. It was amazing. He doesn't look any bigger than like 5'9", $170, but
wow,
he had like Michael Elgin strength.
Right
they had a double sharpshooter spot where Matt was put in a sharpshooter and Nick put Yo in a sharpshooter, both sporting lower back injuries. That was pretty cool. A couple other things. They did a Melcher driver into a sharpshooter spot.
Wow.
That was pretty innovative. It was really, really cool. I'm just really looking over my notes here. It was a really well put together match. Nick Jackson deserves the MVP award for this match. He was the glue that held this thing together. Him and Rocky Romero, they play really well together. Rocky Romero is, I guess, what you would call the Roppongi 3K's manager in a way.
Okay.
But he played himself up really well. I will say the best thing out of this match that I remember is Don Callis, who right now is the Bobby Heenan of my generation.
Whoa, okay.
He said that the Young Bucks were somewhat like Michael Jordan in the fact that they were going for their 7th title. He proceeded to say, Michael Jordan was a mark. These kids are money.
Give it up to Don Callis.
So
dude.
with that being said, the Young Bucks...
Okay, hold on real quick, just for our listeners. If you don't know who Don Callis is, look him up. He was actually a manager known as the Jackal.
I thought he was Cyrus the Virus in ECW.
Well, he was Cyrus the Virus. Right, you're right. He was Cyrus in ECW, but he later became the Jackal, and he was Kurgan's manager. The only reason why I remember this... Now, I was a huge WCW fan when I was a kid. What's that?
Kurgan, I forgot about
Kurgan.
him. Part of the, what was it, the Freaking Geeks or whatever?
Oh my gosh. Insane Clown Posse was with him.
Hold on, I will think
Golga.
Sideshows? The Oddities.
The Oddities. Remember that?
Yes.
Okay, so the manager, Kurgan's manager was Cyrus.
Wow.
Was
he's
Don
been
Callis.
in the business for a long time.
Yeah, he's been in the business for a
him.
very long time.
Fantastic.
So yeah, the only reason why I know that, Alex, is because I had a toy of Kurgan, and with him came Cyrus.
You're the only person I know that had a Kurgan toy.
I had a Kurgan toy.
Shouts to
No,
you.
but here's the funny thing. When you're a kid and like your family isn't really into wrestling, well, my family was very much into wrestling. My mom's friends or my godparents weren't really into wrestling or didn't really know the characters. They knew that I was into it, and it's kind of like, give them a wrestling toy, and I ended up getting Kurgan of all people. So
That's really cool.
yeah.
That was really cool. With that being said, the Young Bucks now are 7-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. Nothing
Congrats.
to scoff at, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen. That was a fantastic match. If you haven't seen it, do go back and watch it. It was really only about an 18-minute match, but it was a fast-moving match. The next big match that we're going to be talking about was Kota Ibushi against Cody, with Brandy Rhodes coming with his side. This was one of those matches that I had, I guess, semi-high hopes about, because Ibushi, he's kind of like AJ Styles, where he can make a 5-star match with anybody. Cody, he might be the MVP of 2017 going into 2018, because this was one hell of a match, ladies and gentlemen. A crossroads spot off the apron, Ibushi landing on the top of his head. It looked fantastic.
Yeah, I saw that spot. That was
Ibushi's got
pretty
an injured neck, and he's still doing these spots, making himself look like he's getting ragdolled. I really hope at some point this year he goes for that title, the heavyweight championship in New Japan. Ibushi, fantastic. He's phenomenal. He's huge in Japan. I'm glad he's back. He did a little excursion elsewhere, but he's needed in New Japan. He's the next big thing in my eyes. Really quickly, Ibushi ends up winning this match with a Phoenix Splash, which he does so much better than Roman Reigns. Oh, I'm sorry, not Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns wishes he could. Seth Rollins. They look so much similar now.
Yeah, I know. I was right there with you on that one.
My notes to this was great match by both. Cody's going to have a huge 2018. To be able to go toe-to-toe with Kota Ibushi for 15 minutes and make him look strong, it was fantastic. Again, if you haven't seen this, go back and watch it. Cody's awesome.
Cody Rhodes is one of those wrestlers. and it's funny to say it, since even like the fact that he's dyed his hair, he's almost like a Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
Or just a Saiyan. You know, like I'm totally like repping DBZ over here. But you're looking like how a Saiyan, whenever they fight, they get better. And I see that in Cody since he's left WWE. He's only gotten better.
He's gotten stronger for sure.
He's definitely gotten stronger. He's gotten better. His ring psychology is just, I mean, the fact that now that he's out of the WWE umbrella, like just watching Cody wrestle now and just seeing how his mind works, or how like his facial expressions and his mannerisms in the ring, I mean, second to none, dude.
He's going to have a great year.
If he ever goes back to WWE, he will be the WWE champion, and for sure, I definitely am gonna say that.
That's a bold prediction, but I can definitely see it. I mean, he could have a rocket strapped to his back for all we know.
There's no other way that you don't. I mean, how do you not give him the title when he's coming back after the run he's having right now?
If he comes back.
If he does.
If he comes back. Real quick, I'm going to go over a few more matches before we get to the main events. There was a match between the Killer Elite Squad and the team of Sanada and Evil of Los Ingobernables del Japón. This was one crazy match. Really strong stuff. The Killer Elite Squad just going crazy on the young boys outside of the ring. At some point, Lance Archer decides to body slam every single one of the young lions on the ringside at least twice, and it didn't look soft. Like, he slammed him on the hard concrete, and for no other reason but to be like that Stan Hansen crazy gaijin that is, you know, oh, he's gonna hurt the young lion that has nothing to do with this match but just being there. So it was really cool to see.
Yeah, you're a tough guy.
Yeah, for sure. A couple of cool spots. Los Ingobernables del Japón going to have a great year again. They walked away with the heavyweight championship titles for the tag team.
Nice.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. They won the tag team tournament in the summer, and yeah, they just continue their run. It's really cool. Next up was Minora Suzuki versus Hirooki Goto for the Never Openweight Championship. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to tell you, if you want to see someone get taken to the top turnbuckle, choked out, and held there like he's being hung, watch this match within the first 5 minutes. There were some spots where I legit thought somebody was going to get like knocked out.
Yes.
They didn't play around in this match.
That's awesome.
It was one of the toughest matches, and for all intent and purposes, Minoru Suzuki is not a young man. I want to say he's in his 40s at least, just absolutely laying into Goto, and vice versa. Goto giving it right back to Suzuki. This was a fantastic match. It was a hair versus hair match, which made it really cool because it was not only for the title, it gave the... It's kind of like in Mexico where it's very...
It's kind of like the mask.
It's sacred.
It's
Your
sacred.
hair is sacred.
Right.
So, great match. Hirooki Goto goes over and beats Minoru Suzuki. Suzuki is getting let out by his team of Suzuki Gun. He stops them, walks back, takes his chair, sits down in the middle of the ring, stares at Goto, and shaves his head and walks away. Really intense stuff, but It was really well done.
That's cool.
Yeah, there was no frills.
That's a story, man.
Yeah, there was no frills about it. He did his thing. He just looked at him, he threw his stuff down and walked away. It was like, okay, man,
yeah.
I'm a man of my word, and you beat the piss out of me, so here you go.
Yeah.
There was a 4-way match after this between the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion in Marty Scurll going up against Will Ospreay, Hiroshi Takahashi, and Kushida. Honestly, y'all, there's way too many high spots from this match to go over on this podcast, along with the Okada and Naito match, which I suggest going back to seeing both of those on the New Japan app. What we are going to cover is the Kenny Omega Chris Jericho match, Alpha versus Omega. Y'all, this lived up to the hype. This was my version of Mike Tyson fighting Muhammad Ali.
Ooh.
This was fantastic. The build-up didn't take too much time. It was very simple storytelling, but God, did they deliver. Those two guys from Canada just went at it. And honestly, match of the night for me.
Oh man, I've been waiting like so long for this one. As a wrestling fan, I enjoyed it. You know, we were kind of discussing, like, dissecting it. Just amazing. I mean, not for the fact that it was like the best technical wrestling match, but just more of the entertainment value of it. That's what I got out of it.
What I saw was a Western influenced style of wrestling.
Yes.
Infiltrating New Japan, because as soon as Jericho popped up on screen, he got a huge pop. And
in the build-up.
You look in the, well, no, even in the stadium, because you looked at the stadium, they kept panning to these a particular set of fans.
Oh, really?
And you kept seeing all these Americans, these Canadians, even when you would hear the knife edge chop Ric Flair woos, that is direct from the United States. And
wow.
I think what's happening is that match garnered so much interest so quickly that a lot of tickets that probably weren't sold from the Japanese audience got taken by Americans or people from around the world.
Right, 2,500 people
and flew in
across the world.
Dude, I want to go. I want to go.
Someday I
so
would love
bad.
to go to a show at the Tokyo Dome.
I tell you what we're gonna do. 2020, we're gonna go
WrestleMania and Tokyo Dome.
We already booked it. Not only that, this is completely non-wrestling related, and I just saw about this today. Universal Studios in Japan is opening up a Nintendo World.
Yeah,
so,
I heard about that. That's pretty cool.
I mean, we can kick all that stuff out, but back to the match.
Yes.
Jericho at his age putting on...
It seemed like a game in Nintendo.
Wow.
It seemed like
pro wrestling.
Game. It was, yeah. Super pro wrestling.
Doing super heel stuff.
Yeah.
Like putting... Tiger Hattori, or was it Tiger Hattori or Red Shoes? His son in the Walls of Jericho.
Okay, check this out. This wasn't Walls of Jericho where it's basically a Boston Crab. This was the Lion Tamer. Remember the Lion?
Oh, yeah.
When it was called the Lion Tamer, and you put the knee in the lower back on that position, like that to me, like is the Walls of Jericho, and that was like perfectly executed on that moment.
You can go listen.
I loved it, dude. It was cool.
It was a cool little spot that I'm glad, and I'm pretty sure that was probably the highlight of that guy's short career so far. Red Shoes' son. Mm-hmm. You know, you get offered, hey, by the way, Chris Jericho is going to put you on the Lion Tamer. How do you feel about that?
I'm going to say that I think that like he was kind of like humbled by it, in the sense that I've heard that like fans in Japan are very like into the work of a wrestler. But I mean, for a guy to be involved in the business, I mean, think of it this way. It's Chris Jericho. To me, Chris Jericho is in his 40s now.
Yeah.
He is basically what Ric Flair was in his 40s.
I would take a Lion Tamer from Chris Jericho.
You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like, it's like he's wrestling royalty now in a sense.
Yeah, and for him to start off relatively young in his career in Japan, you know, he's come back pretty full circle. It's awesome to see.
Yeah,
and he even busted a move.
It's not like he was gonna wrestle in like the Manitoba, like ski lodge or moose lodge or something.
I bet you he would if you asked him to.
Dude, that would be kind of cool to see Jericho at an indie show. I mean, this opens up the doors, dude.
I see it.
For him to be the first one to be like truly the best in the world, if you think about it.
Maybe he'll be part of that 10,000 seat arena.
I mean,
you never know.
So that would be interesting.
You know, he already kind of has that tie-in with the club, the Bullet Club. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be really interesting to see. But that match, it wasn't going to be an Okada Omega 6-star match.
No.
I don't think anybody walked into it going, "Oh, this is going to be the next big thing in wrestling."
Right.
It was what it needed to be. It was entertaining. It showcased that Chris Jericho is still a huge draw wherever he goes. Exactly. And it really solidified Kenny Omega even more so that he can wrestle whoever he wants and make it almost the match of the night every time.
It really wouldn't have mattered whose hand was raised at the end of this match, because I think they both came out of it the best in the world.
Nice.
If you want to really look at it, both wrestlers are the best in the world today.
Yes, for their respective age groups, I would say.
I mean, yeah. I mean, look at it. It's like, okay, you've got your Muhammad Ali and Chris Jericho.
Yes.
And you've got your
Mike Tyson.
You know what? Let's just, because the lines have been so blurred throughout all of, sports, I say, looking at even Conor McGregor versus Mayweather.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's just say you're Conor McGregor, who is the best at his game, in the fight game, and Muhammad Ali, best in the fight game. So you have your Muhammad Ali and Jericho, you've got your Kenny Omega and your Conor McGregor, in a sense.
That's a good not assumption, but it's a good.
Well, what do you guys think, the listeners? I'm breaking the fourth wall.
Break the walls down.
Break the walls down. Exactly. We're going to just ride too much into it, man.
Really let us know what you thought about Wrestle Kingdom. If you saw it, if you stayed up that Thursday morning at 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, if you watched it live with your cup of coffee, let us know
your story.
Yeah, let us know. Hit us up. But that's going to do it for our Wrestle Kingdom review.
Yeah, and up next, after the break, we will tell you about some really cool, exciting stuff that's happening at the end of January, as well as a really cool, let's just say it, a really sweet interview with Dylan Dunbar of Heavy Metal Wrestling, and we'll be right back after the break.
Hey moviegoers, this is Ryan D, Akinola Ryan 680. This is Alamo City Movie Talk. Meet my crew.
I'm Mike at Polaris Mike. We do movie reviews.
Juan at Cloud X Drive, and we do trailer reactions.
I'm Juan the Cook Crane, and we do everything movie related. And once again, you're listening to One Sweet Wrestling Podcast.
If you're interested in San Antonio's nightlife or just got out of work and want to knock a few back with some friends, check out El Luchador, located at 622 Roosevelt in Southtown. El Luchador is a wrestling-themed bar with a neighborhood bar feel. They've got a friendly staff and offer great drink specials. They also host a variety of events such as Loteria Night, Trivia Night, and live music. Be sure to add them on Facebook at Luchador Bar SA. El Luchador, located at 622 Roosevelt in Southtown.
Yeah, man, I like that place. The Luchador, it's probably one of my favorite bars in town, San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah, it's really cool. They've got, I want to say, at least 30 wrestling masks that they rotate on their bar wall every night. It's a really cool spot.
Yeah, and they play live wrestling. Well, not live wrestling, but they do play wrestling on the big screen that they have out there. So just to let you guys know, January 26th, we here at One Sweet Wrestling Podcast are going to be hosting a wrestling trivia night, also known as #Wrestletrivia. Spread it around like wildfire. We're trying to get that going. It's pretty fun to me. I don't know.
I'm down for it.
So yeah, check it out. January 26th at El Luchador at 622 Roosevelt. We're going to be talking WWE, WCW, ECW, hardcore wrestling.
I'll sprinkle in a couple of Japanese questions for you real, wrestle nerds.
Really hardcore fans. Yeah, like Alex is our resident Japanese wrestling expert. I would like to say that. I'm just saying.
I'll take that.
You're
take
kind
that
of like
title.
the TA. You're like the Professor Mike Tenay, but like his assistant.
I like it.
Because there can't be more than one professor. We know that.
Alex the TA?
Yeah, Alex the TA.
Instead of Magnum TA, Alex
well, you
TA.
have a mustache, so it kind of works.
Ooh, I might just go straight mustache.
Just straight
for the podcast.
mustache.
That'd be cool.
Awesome.
And you know what else is cool?
What?
Heavy Metal Wrestling.
Heavy Metal Wrestling, that's right. They're going to have a show February 10th at Whiskey Girls, right?
Whiskey Girls, yes.
Yeah. So
not a strip club.
No, it's not a strip club, as we found out through our interview with Dylan Dunbar, who's actually the promoter for Heavy Metal Wrestling. So we're going to go ahead and listen to that right now. We're joined by the one and only Dylan Dunbar of Heavy Metal Wrestling. Dylan, we've got a show. You actually have a show.
We have a show.
We have a show.
We
have a show February 10th at
it's a bar called Whiskey Girls.
Whiskey Girls. I thought it was a strip club when I first heard about this place, but
maybe
it sounds
soon. Maybe if February 10th is a little crazy.
Maybe if it gets a little wild, right?
I hope not. I can't afford that.
No.
What's the gate? Give me some singles.
So give us a little rundown of what we can expect from the show.
Oh man, like with Heavy Metal Wrestling, just it's it's something else. It's an experience. I always tell people, man, it's not necessarily like, well, it definitely is a live wrestling show, but that's not all we are. You know, we've also got live music, man. We're going to have like a food truck. It's just going to be a pretty badass night, I think. As far as like what you're going to see in-ring action, man, well, we got the main event. It's going to be a 4-way elimination match with Great Scott, otherwise known as Scotty Santiago,
right on.
Who's been like one of our top guys for a while. And then we got Jordan Lennox from Wrestle Circus fame. He's kind of blowing up right now, and good for him. He's a great athlete, man. And then we've got like the total wild card, who's Mikey McFinnigan, who's up from the Midwest. Mikey's like something else, and we got a mystery opponent in there. So it's crazy that Mikey's the wild card when there's a mystery opponent.
Can you drop any hints on the mystery opponent in any way? Or?
It's a mystery, man.
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery, but the only thing I'll say is very, very serious. And if you go to Texas indie shows, then maybe you picked up on who that would be.
Okay, yeah. Right on. All
it's
right.
a little Easter egg for you.
Yeah, it's a nice little Easter egg.
So we got talent coming from like all over the United States for this show, man.
That's so cool, man. And so how did heavy metal wrestling get started, and what was the inspiration behind it? Because I know you guys do live music and you do pro wrestling. So I mean, to me, as a metalhead, I always like to say nachos, metal, wrestling. That's just me.
Man, that's a good combination. You know, I got to get some nachos worked out at the next show, man.
There you go.
And you have no reason to miss.
That's the new shirt. Nachos, metal, wrestling.
Tacos, metal, and wrestling.
That's a good one.
But yeah, give us the inspiration as far as where you came up with all
So really, man, the inspiration really came from the group of guys that are on our shows already. It just came to a point that I saw some of these guys and I saw the matches they were having, and they're some of the best athletes around, man. And really, just heavy metal wrestling was kind of created to give those type of people a stage, to try to expose them to a totally different crowd. And then pairing it with live music, man, it just seemed like a match made in heaven. To me, I've born and raised in San Antonio, and I've known San Antonio to pretty much have like two pillars, I always say, of culture. Always seem like wrestling, and then metal.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've noticed since I moved here. I'm from California, Southern California to be exact. Shout out to all my friends back home. I hope y'all are being safe. I know it's raining out there, and I know y'all are getting some mudslides, so y'all be safe. But yeah, coming out here, I didn't really realize, you see older guys that are like, oh yeah, no, I saw Pantera open up for Striper or something. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Back in '86, you're like,
man,
what?
When they were Glam Terra and stuff
that. Like my circle, or the people that I'm around or grew up around, you always heard, you got mijo, Legs Diamond, S.A. Slayer.
S.A. Slayer. I've never really listened to S.A. Slayer myself, but just the name S.A. Slayer, it's just it embodies kind of San Antonio, like that kind of mentality of like rock and roll and metal, man.
I'm gonna drop some knowledge on you. So you're both familiar with Slayer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Slayer,
yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So back in the day, and I say like back in the day, 80s, which probably
it's still back in the day,
before
dude.
we were born.
Yeah, a few days,
right? So back in the 80s, there was a local band called Slayer. Oh, yeah. So when Slayer heard about Slayer, they became copyright Slayer.
Yeah.
So then the San Antonio Act had to become S.A. Slayer.
Oh, okay.
And apparently, from what I heard, there was a show that both Slayers played on the same bill together, and it was Slayer versus S.A. Slayer in San Antonio, and I think it was at Woodlawn Theater, with Metallica being the main act.
Dude, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
No big show, whatever.
Yeah, and like everybody in San Antonio claims to this day S.A. Slayer won.
Yeah, man. I've heard that shit too, man.
It's like so weird, but it's awesome.
And that's the type of stuff I'm talking about, man. Like that's San Antonio.
Yeah.
And that's growing up here and growing up particularly on like the south side of San Antonio, man.
Okay.
And like having that type of family that was into pretty much like hair metal and kind of stuck in the 80s almost.
Yeah,
dude. And so like I lived that, and that's kind of, even though I was born in the 90s, I felt like I kind of lived the 80s because of my parents.
Oh, of course.
And man, when we had the opportunity to do it, man, I was like, I want to take wrestling and I want to take heavy metal. I want to combine the two, man, because it's something that I think places have done before, but I don't think it's been done well. And my thing is, man, I'd like to be able to do, we have local wrestlers, and then we also have guys coming from all over the United States on February 10th, man. But really, I like booking local bands. Me personally, I like looking for local bands, man, because I love live music, man. I love San Antonio, and it's awesome, man. I love that. That's where the inspiration came from.
That's perfect, man. And if you are a local band or a metal band or if you are a rock and roll band and hard hitting rock and roll, hit up Dylan Dunbar.
Oh, please, by all means.
And he's gonna see what he can do to book you on the next show for Heavy Metal Wrestling. So
absolutely,
check that out.
Man.
So you got started. When did you get started in the business?
So in the wrestling business, man, I think I started training. I think around 2012, into 2013.
What got you into it?
Really, man, I was here at UTSA, man, and I wasn't feeling it. I felt like I was just going to school for no reason.
Right.
And
what were you going to school for?
I was actually going to school to be a medic.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
I had actually finished school and I started like doing rotationals, which pretty much you're on an ambulance and working on an ambulance. When I was doing it, man, I was just like, this doesn't feel right, man. And just so you guys know, man, I don't know if you know, it's totally sidebar here.
Go ahead.
EMTs are ridiculously underpaid.
Oh no!
Like,
I went to school to become a firefighter.
Okay, fuck.
And,
so you know,
and they made us do a day's work with an EMT and then go to a hospital. Dude, those EMTs, as hard as they work, yeah, man,
it's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like they're ridiculously underpaid, and so like I was doing the rotationals, man, and I fucking hated it. And I was like, I got to do something that's gonna make me happy.
Yeah.
So I really sat back and I was like, man, I got to find something that I know I've loved my entire life and just jump headfirst into that. And the first thing was wrestling, man. Pro wrestling had always been a constant in my life. You know, I had liked different bands here and there, and I'd fall out of love with them, man. And it's just like, that's an okay band. I don't really like them as much anymore. But wrestling was always a constant, man. Like, whether it was watching WWE or watching some indie show or watching something from Japan or something from Mexico or like Great Britain, man, like wrestling was always a constant. So I said, you know what, man, I'm just going to jump headfirst into it. And I actually linked up with a good friend of mine who now wrestles, Scotty.
Mm-hmm.
He was pretty much, he and I were the first students that Funaki had here at the Funaki Dojo.
That's awesome.
So wow. I pretty much, I got in contact with Funaki. I saw that he was opening up a school here and accepting applications at the exact same time that I was having this little mental crisis.
Wow.
And I was like, man, this is what it's meant to be kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah. The gates have opened for you.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like, the universe kind of provided the path.
For
and
sure.
I was like, fuck yeah, man, I have to jump head first and do it, you know?
That's
and
awesome.
I jumped. I was terrible, man. When I first started out, man. Like I only played high school football, and like I was saying, I'm just a big dude, and all I did was I was an offensive lineman, so I just pushed people away.
Did you play offensive lineman at UTSA?
No, unfortunately.
Just in high school?
Yeah, it was just in high school.
That's cool, man. That's sweet.
So like, I started training at Funaki's, man, and I wasn't as coordinated as anybody else. It was just me and Scotty. And man, Funaki pretty much trained me to be able to do just about everything I do in the ring. I can't sing his praises enough, man. So that's pretty much how I started with Funaki, man. But we had
what was the hardest thing when you were first starting out and training? What was the hardest thing for you?
Man, really just getting adjusted to the ropes of the ring, man. And the way Funaki would just have us do it, man, is you would just do it until failure, until you couldn't hit the ropes anymore, because you would do it, 25, 30 times, 50 times until you got it right.
It's that cardio.
And it was cardio, yeah, man.
Yeah.
And it had to be done the correct way that he wanted it and the correct way that he feels WWE wanted it.
Oh wow,
that's good.
Because that's where he spent his entire career there.
So he pretty much like trained you WWE. I'm gonna air quote WWE style.
Sure. Yeah, you could say that. I mean, I'm nowhere near qualified to be a WWE wrestler. I'd say
not yet.
Sure, yeah. That's nice of you. But as far as the training, man, it was very like centered around being able to handle yourself in the ring as far as protecting yourself and like being able to roll out of situations if something that goes awry. And really, it was just doing it over and over and over and over again until it was like muscle memory, until you could do it without thinking about it. And that's really how I kind of progressed as a wrestler. Is I did it so much with Funaki. Like when we first started out, man, we were having 2-a-day practices. Like I would work an 8 to 5 job or an 8 to 6 job because I would take a 2-hour lunch, and in that 2-hour lunch, I would go to train with Funaki.
Damn.
In the mornings,
Wow.
man.
It's dedication.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
So
dude,
I would just go to the morning, and we'd go from like 10 to noon, and I would do everything I could to be there every single day, man. We'd wrestle then, and then once I'd get out of work, you know, maybe 6 o'clock, I'd head back over there, and we'd go from 6 o'clock to like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
Let me ask you this, because there might be somebody listening right now that's kind of thinking about or going through something right now, and they're a little bit they're having some doubts. How did you get through those times where you were just like, man, I don't know if this is for me?
Man, let me tell you, dude, everyone in my family, probably still everyone in my family, like looks at you and like, what the fuck are you doing, man? You're a pro wrestler, you know, like you were going to be a medic and now you're a wrestler. Like, what happened? You know, and like people are always going to like look down on you for doing whatever you want to do. But to me, man, it was just, I had to do something that was going to make me happy, you know?
Yeah, I can totally respect that.
And if you know something's going to make you happy 100%, just jump head first and do it, you know?
Right.
So anyone that's listening that is just, you know, having an idea like, hey, maybe I should think about wrestling. Like, think long and hard about it. If it's something you're really serious about and you want to be dedicated to it, get trained by somebody, man. Just, it's as easy as going, and not as easy as going to the gym, man, but it's as easy as finding a trainer.
That's true.
You got to find a reputable trainer. In Texas, there's a few, you know?
I actually, truth be known, and I don't think I've ever shared this with you, Alex, I actually was going through some sort of training at they called it Texas Wrestling Alliance at the time.
Oh yeah, man.
So I was there. I didn't get to train with I know Rudy Boy Gonzalez was there.
Oh man, I love
Mad
Rudy.
Dog Ken Johnson was there.
Ken is the man.
But I never got to train with them. A buddy of mine actually did train with Mad Dog Ken Johnson and did become a professional wrestler.
Awesome, man.
Now, I, on the other hand, I didn't have, the funny thing was my cardio wasn't that bad. I was okay at hitting the ropes. But dude, when it came to those tiger rolls doing like hitting, for me it was a tiger rolls. I just couldn't.
It's tough, man.
Yeah.
It's tough. You gotta do it over and over again. And sometimes it's about like conquering your fear.
Yeah.
To this day, man, I still have trouble doing tiger rolls, man.
Tiger rolls were crazy.
I can tell you, I can do them 1 million times better than I used to be able to before I started training with Funaki,
That's awesome.
man. You know, like just there's guys like Rudy Boy, like you said, man,
Yeah.
and Ken Johnson and Funaki. There's Booker T in Houston. You know, there's some great schools in Texas, man. There's people got to take advantage of it. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
like,
Texas is like a hotbed for professional wrestling, and it was, and it still is, and I don't think people really realize.
It's
that.
crazy, yeah, man. There's so many wrestling promotions in Texas, man. Like there's so many. Like you go to any city almost in Texas, any city that has over, let's say, 2,000 people maybe, and I'm sure you could find a wrestling show that's going to be coming in the next 3-4 months.
Oh yeah,
for sure. With somebody you know.
Yeah, with somebody you know. You're like, oh shit, this guy that used to be in WWE or whatever is going to be here.
Or at the very least, you see somebody on the card, you're like, he looks interesting.
Yeah, I got to go check that out, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Now, now you're in the role of Booker?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to
transition for that?
It's crazy, man. Like I've always, you know, with my group that I trained with at the Funaki dojo, anytime we would be doing shows, I would always be the one that was coordinating it. You know, I was the one talking to the promoter saying, hey, I've got, 5 people that I could get on your show. And I got a guy that's a really great technical wrestler. I got, a good tag team too. I got a comedy guy, I got a technician guy, and I got a girl in my car. And they're pretty much like, oh, wow, it's a really diverse, kind of team. So they'd bring us in,
Yeah.
And some form or combination of us, they'd bring us in. So I got really, really good at negotiating with like other promoters and like, hey, we got to come on this show and we're going to bring all these people in. So eventually, man, it just kind of felt like a good transition. I was already kind of managing a group of wrestlers and myself.
So it felt really natural.
So it came like kind of naturally to be like, okay, I can manage putting a show together as far as the production goes, and a flow of a show. What I really was needing, and I still am always looking for, is just the everyday kind of operations, man. I'm every day myself, man. I hand out flyers for our shows. I'm talking to different businesses about sponsorships.
DIY, man.
Yeah, man. And that's the
best way to
thing
go.
about heavy metal wrestling, is that a lot of people don't know. is there's a lot of other wrestling companies in Texas that have, big name sponsors, and they get all this money from other sponsors and stuff like that. And that's awesome, man. I'm glad our scene is thriving. Heavy metal wrestling is completely like a DIY promotion. Like, it is run out of my apartment, and we
as we're doing here now on this podcast.
Exactly. It is run out of my apartment, man. We make merchandise in my apartment. My wife is she makes wrestling gear.
Shit, dude, the parallels are nonstop now.
Like, I'm telling you, man, there's like it's a completely DIY kind of thing we do. We have like a grassroots kind of feel to it, man. The people that we have gotten to come to our show, it has been like, we see you on the street and you're like, this looks like someone that might enjoy seeing someone get his head punched, and I might want a beer as well, and listen to music. So that's the type of people that we go to, man. And we go and speak directly to like fans, man. Not even fans, people that hopefully will become fans.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part, is trying to have a reach when it's myself. And I have a lot of help. I've got, 2 other guys that really help us out. I'm sure they don't want to be named, but they're wrestlers as well, and they're pretty much like leaders for me, man.
Shout out to the homies who are
for sure.
The anonymous homies.
Yeah, the anonymous homies. They're out there listening, going like, man, this dude
did not drop my name.
Did not just do that. Come on now.
On this. Come on, man.
Oh man. So, do you have any interesting road stories? I mean, I'm sure you guys traveled. You have traveled.
Yeah, man. I've
places.
done my fair share of traveling, man. I always think, man, my favorite story I think we've ever had, as far as like a road story, we had to take a trip up to Colorado for a show. And we had wrestled in El Paso the night before. So we drove from San Antonio to El Paso, did the show, and then immediately left, we were going straight to Colorado. We slept on the side of the road for about an hour, because we just were all tired. And the side note, man, we were in this car that was it was a manual. It was a standard manual. Man. And one person knew how to drive it.
Was that one person you?
No, it wasn't me.
Okay, I don't know how to drive manuals.
No. So this one person, man, had to have, like pre-workout and coffee just to stay awake as long as they could, man. And it got to the point that we were just yelling at him to stay awake, man, so we could keep going. So it was like, all right, we couldn't do it anymore, man. We were hitting our limit. He was up for like a day and like 8 hours, like 36 hours or something like that.
Lightweight.
So it was like, so it was like, all right, man, we're going to sleep on the side of the road for like an hour. So we slept on the side of the road and we took back off to Colorado. Luckily, man, we got into Colorado just as a snowstorm hit.
Ooh.
We just beat it. Everyone that left the morning of, like the same morning that we like was in like Albuquerque. We had some friends in Albuquerque. They were like, "Oh, we're just gonna leave the morning of. It's only like 5 hours for us, so we'll be there fine." They weren't able to make it because the highways got like closed down because there was so much snow.
Whoa!
So we pretty much got snowed in Colorado, man. And the best part is the shitty little car that we were in. It was right when it started snowing. We realized the windshield wipers didn't work. So there we were, man. And I'm from fucking Texas, dude. So up until like this year, I'd never really seen snow before.
Yeah.
So I never really had to fucking deal with it, man. So I didn't plan for snow. You know, I was fucking in pajama pants and like a long sleeve shirt, hanging out the side of the fucking car with a squeegee, bro. going like 60 on like a snowy road, trying to get to this show in time. And man, it was just the fucking wildest trip, man. I always tell people like that's probably like one of the craziest fucking things we've ever done is literally hanging out of the car on a highway with a squeegee while it's snowing, trying to clear the driver's fucking like view essentially of the road. So dangerous. Please, like no one should ever try that ever. Damn. But that's probably the only one that I can tell that isn't gonna get anybody in trouble.
Okay.
or
I respect
or
that.
someone like incriminating evidence or something.
Very commendable of you. Is there a? I mean, what's the longest trip that you've taken? I mean,
fuck, man. So I had this trip I took to New York, man. And I was staying up there with a buddy, and I had gotten booked for some shows out there.
Now we're talking New York City proper or New York?
Yeah,
City?
New York City, man.
Okay.
I was staying in Brooklyn. I was staying in what's it called? I can't even remember like the area.
Williamsburg, maybe?
Williamsburg. That's exactly where it was, man. I was staying in Williamsburg with my friend, and I had gotten booked for like 4 or 5 different little shows out there, man. It was like Brooklyn Wrestling Federation and like some lucha shows, just some different like spot shows out there, man. And I was like, fuck yeah, man, I'm going to expand my horizons. I'm going to go out there. They had all pulled their money. I had gotten them all to give me like a little bit of cash. And they were like, here's enough for a plane ticket. And I said, you know what, man? fuck that. I'm going to pocket it and I'm going to take a Greyhound.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to take a Greyhound. The Greyhound says it'll only take me 32 hours. I was like, that's a day and some change. I was like, I've had worse trips. So I was like,
So this is
okay.
you going from Texas to Brooklyn.
From Texas to Brooklyn via Greyhound. And I'm like, this is going to be awesome. Like I'll see this, all the states along the way, man. All right, fuck it. I'll
make
do
it a thing. You make it a big
trip.
trip.
I don't have to put miles on my car.
Right.
Fuck yeah. And I was like, I'm going to Brooklyn. I don't need a car,
Right.
So I was like, I'll just take the train up there, or I'll just take a bus up there, man, and I'll just hop around on subways. So I leave San Antonio, man, and I get to Dallas, dude, because when you take the fucking Greyhound, you got to go like 72 different transfers, especially when you're going to New York. I had to go like so many different ones, man. I get off the bus in Dallas, and as soon as I go to like get my backpack, I fucking hear the announcer, like the PA guy, is like, all buses going out of this terminal have been like stopped because it was snowing. And there was ice on like the roads, and they weren't letting any Greyhounds go out for the night or anything like that. And I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me, man. So I'm like calling everybody I know in like Dallas, and they're like, oh, sorry, man, the roads are icy. I'm not leaving my house. I'm like, what the fuck, man? You're just gonna leave me at this Greyhound station? Wow. So I was even like, I'm gonna just get a fucking flight home, or I'll just get a flight to New York, or I'll figure something out, man. Even that, dude, I'd have to look up the time. It was in like March of like 2015. Dallas had actually grounded out, or they weren't letting any fucking airplanes out, man. There was no flights going out.
I think I remember something like that.
Bad snowstorm.
There was a bad snowstorm, and no one was prepared for ice on anything, so they weren't even letting planes leave, and they shut down fucking their airport. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me, dude. I'm stranded, and I'm only like 3 hours from home.
Start walking me home.
Yeah, right. So I said, fuck it, man. And Greyhound was like, oh, we're going to give you meal vouchers and all this shit. I was like, I don't give a fuck about your meal vouchers, man. Like, just give me to where I'm going. Dude, I have to sleep overnight in this Greyhound station. Then the next morning, I'm like, all right, man. I wake up. I'm like, all right, man, it's time to fucking go. Let's do this, If
I got to drive the bus myself.
Yeah, I was like, I'm fucking done with this. The whole day, man, I'm waiting. They're just like, we're going to have updates for you. Don't hear anything back. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. At 9 o'clock, like 9 p.m. comes around, and they're like, oh, yeah, we're not going to have any buses going out for the night, so everyone just can stay here again. I was like, what the fuck, dude? Oh. So I ended up staying 2 nights in a Greyhound station. I woke up the next morning, and they're like, all right, now we're finally going to go. So then I have to go. It's already been pretty much 3 days before, and I'm just leaving Dallas.
You're 3 hours out.
I'm 3 hours out. Now, it's taken me like 3 days, and I'm like, Jesus fucking, this is insane. Like this is not happening to me. So the whole trip happens, man, and it ends up taking me about a week, almost a week, 6 days to go from San Antonio to New York. Thanks to our good friends at the Greyhound.
But did you make the show?
I made all the shows, man, and I gotta say, man, like, when I got off that Greyhound at like Port Authority and my friend picked me up, he was like, where do you want to go first? I was like, I'll fucking shower.
I just want to go to bed, man. I'm tired.
Yeah, man. Awesome. I was like, fuck Times Square, man. I don't care about any of this shit. Just get me to a shower, dude.
That's funny, man. How were those shows out there?
They were awesome, man. They were okay. I thought, I thought I had a great time, man. It was fun. Like, New York City is an amazing place to be, and it was just awesome just to be in that type of atmosphere. I'd never been in a huge city like that, man. I'm born and raised in San Antonio. Yeah. It's a big city, but it's still kind of got that small town feel,
Yep.
And San Antonio is kind of like really stretched out, and it's a big city, but not really. Yeah. When you go to New York City, man, I was like, holy shit, this is a huge fucking city.
Yeah.
Like it's so fucking massive, and just I would be awesome at night just to kind of get lost and walk around just as a total tourist and just hope I'm not gonna get killed or anything like that.
Dude, that's funny. It's funny you mentioned that because I was actually probably the summer of, I want to say 2015. It could have been 2013. I actually I was in a band. We went on tour. And we went in the southwestern states. Yeah. Driving to California, I passed out like in the desert, and I just like my buddy next to me was like, "Dude, wake up!" And I just like, "Oh wow, where are we?
Wow,
like, dude, we're in the desert of California. Like, oh my god,
holy shit!"
I was driving that's a car I have now. I was driving a Scion from San Antonio all the way to California. Damn. Check this out, with a trailer hitch on the back,
man.
A 4-cylinder little car, just Mad Maxing it all the way over there. And it was like, dude, it was seriously like, when we got to California, $5 a gallon.
Oh, man.
And guarantees that we were making. And I'm sure in the wrestling world it's very similar.
Oh, yeah, there's so many parallels.
Yeah, we were just like, I don't think we're going to make the next town. Luckily, we were like very, very nice people were taking us in and saying, hey, man, crash here. You can crash on the couch. You know, we've got food. We've got some beers here. Just hang out with us. You know, thanks for coming out. Like, cool, man. So
man. We Californians are hospitable.
Yeah, California surprised me, man. California surprised me with that. But, yeah, man, give us some more details about the show. I mean, how much are the tickets? You know, any specials going on?
All of our tickets, man, are always GA, man. I don't like the visual. Like I told you guys earlier, man, I'm really visual when it comes to wrestling.
Yeah.
I don't like the visual of a bunch of people sitting down, like looking at their phones, not really, engaged in the show. Exactly. Right. So all of our tickets are GA, man. We have just standing room only. We don't provide seats. I got bar seats and stuff like that at the bar that we have and things like that. But primarily, it's just general admission stuff. All tickets are $10. It's going to be at Whiskey Girls, which is off of Parambital, is 11855 Parambital. It's a cool little joint, man. We're going to hopefully pack that place, man. You can get tickets at heavymetalwrestling.com. You can get them at the door. They're the same price. Man, it's gonna be a badass night. We're gonna have some food trucks there, man. We'll be giving away some free merch throughout the night. We'll have we'll have some live music from a few different bands out there.
Sweet.
And then of course, we've got right now it's either 6 or 7 matches. But it's a jam-packed night, man. We've had a few announced. You can always follow our Twitter. It's at Heavy Metal Pro. Our Instagram is Heavy Metal Wrestling SA. And then, of course, on Facebook, just at Heavy Metal Wrestling. We pretty much announce matches kind of periodically that you're going to be seeing on the show and try to provide, a little insight onto who these guys are and what you can expect from them,
Awesome.
We got some of the best rising talent, I think, pretty much throughout the United States, man. Guys that I think, given the opportunity, can really flourish on any level, It's just a matter of showcasing them, I think.
Right on, man. That's awesome.
That's couldn't have said it any better.
Perfect. I mean, so yeah, man. So check it out if you guys are out there listening. Of course you're out there listening. I mean, who wouldn't be? You better be. Yeah. February 10th at Whiskey Girls, Heavy Metal Wrestling. So be sure to check that out and get you some tickets for that. So thank you to Dylan Dunbar for coming out here and being a part of the podcast.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anytime, man.
So yeah, Dylan Dunbar, Heavy Metal Wrestling, February 10th at Whiskey Girls. Hey, man, I had a blast today.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It was a good one today.
Yeah. So check us out on the next episode. We've got some really cool things lined up that we're trying to really trying to get for you guys. A nice little surprise for you. But we won't announce it until we get the A-OK and everything. But remember, January 26th at El Luchador, we're hosting Wrestletrivia. Hashtag it. Tell your friends. Tell your neighbors. Let them all know that One Sweet Wrestling Podcast is here, baby.
We're coming, baby.
That's right. And I don't think there's anything else left to say, but
we out.